this into context, I have the 5th tone in my personality sun, and you have, and that was judgment. And that's what we were listening to before.
My sense is action.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I know I've listened to it, but I lost it. You want to listen to that one? Yes. Okay.
Now, if you're motivated correctly, you're not in transference. You have a mind here that has its root of intelligence based around the 3rd tone. Now, the 3rd tone is an intelligence that belongs alongside the 4th tone binary as part of the Ajna center, and it's that very quality of the Ajna center that brings the theme that is running through this 3rd tone, and that theme is a periodic theme. The ajna cannot be concentrated all of the time like the spleen does, because it would require too much fuel in terms of energy. Thinking constantly and in a concentrated way uses a lot of energy. So it has bursts of its own type of concentration, and that concentration is rooted in the theme of action. This is why we call this tone action, and it means that you have a mind that really I could characterize as a mind that's ready for adventurism. And the reason for that is that the 1st tone is all about security, laying the foundation of security. The 2nd tone is all about risk management, what might be coming here that I don't know about. And thus all of that is built into the 3rd tone, which means this 3rd tone is looking for something more. You have a mind here that really is all about inventing action that makes it so interesting. You have a mind that's ready for a kind of adventurism. You have a mind asking, what can I do here? What is there to do here? Because this 3rd tone is always and wants always to explore. So you have a mind that's not concerned in the deepest sense about its security or its uncertainties in things. You have a mind that is simply interested in action and the collection of data through being active, through that action. This data is a byproduct of the actioning, not the reasoning for the action. So this is the root of this wonderful part of the human spirit. We use this a lot of the time, this keeping on, which we as a species are very, very good at. And it's a three anywhere in terms of human design, whether it's a color or a line, a 1-3 profile or a 3-5 profile, given the mental nature of the 3. In terms of your example here, we're on the personality side of your chart. Well, the 3, it is about adventurism. It's about trial and error. Suck it and see. Let's give this a go. And you pay the consequences as a result of that. And that consequence can be a breakthrough, or it can be breaking whatever that thing is. But even the breaking is valuable. Look how I broke that so easily. Better send that one back to the shop. And of course, this action is not about decision making. That is in the realm of your brain's tone, your strategy, your inner authority. It's about action in the intellectual sense. But of course, having a strategic mind here that really does revel in its competence, well, that can be a dangerous thing if the mind is making your decisions, because you won't be rooted in the correct motivation, you won't be rooted in what is the correct action for you, and you will not be rooted in your leader trajectory. Have a listen to that trajectory audio when you get a moment.
I am again.
How did that impact you listening to that?
Like I said, I recognize it. wants to explore. Like I said, as a child, I was already asking so many deep questions and wanted to understand and make sense of things. And when he said, let's give it a go, like breakthrough or breaking, I can relate that to even my mental breakdown in my burnout, that I literally said to my husband, like, it's like this close, that I'm losing my mind, literally. I was just holding on a thread, and it lasted for almost a week. It was building up. And then that I called him at one point that I didn't know if I would get home, if I could get home. But I did. Something inside of me brought me home. And then when I got in the home, the mental breakdown was there, like, and then suddenly it was, like I shared before, then was my higher self meeting my little self, and then they communicating that they should work together. So there was this big breakthrough. And from that moment on, I started building myself up again mentally. There was this transmutation, this like, okay, let's start anew. Let's give it a go. Let's try something else. This wasn't working. So how can I build myself back up? For me, it was like, who then is the true me? And that's how I came to the tribe, and that's how I got to human design. And that all happened within more than or less than a year.
Yeah.
And I started painting, and I started my own business, and first with painting, and then later on with the human design after a year or two. Yeah.
Wow, what a great example of action and even breaking, isn't it?
Yeah. And I do feel like I love to be mentally stimulated. Like, that's why I do all the courses. So that's why I watch so many videos, even the ones I send you about all those world cultures and the
Oh,
visits.
I know. I started watching some of that.
Right. They're fun, right? They're so
Mhm.
natural, so pure. And before that, it was all about religions and our history. And then, I don't know, somehow I loved absorbing even the adventures that are being told. So yeah, I love a stimulated brain. If there's nothing to think about, just for fun, because I don't take it all too seriously. I take in, because I have an open head and eyes. Now I do feel like I take in, and some things stick and some things don't. Like this human design stuff, yeah, this is sticking. But it even took me a little while for it to truly grasp. But there was something stimulating there that kept me in one subject, because human design for me is one subject, even though there are so many parts and layers. It is one source. Let me put it that way. It's one source. And for me to stay in one source, it's very, yeah. Before I was just, looking for that adventure, maybe, like what's out there, and not being able to stick to something because it wasn't stimulating enough in a way, or at least not aligned for me, because there was a lot of stuff stimulating. I could learn how to play the violin or something. Maybe that's a mental thing too, connected to the body. But it had to resonate within my being on a subject that really sparked something inside of me. And I shared this before, that when the brother showed me human design, within the moment that he showed me, I knew that this was the answer I was looking for. Oh, yeah. But maybe it's good to combine with the other thing that he said, that the trajectory. That's a hard word in English.
Well, it's also interesting about listening to you about how the ajna can't be focused all the time.
Yeah.
It comes in, you'll be really focused and then you'll stop.
Yeah.
And so, you know, thinking about what you've shared over the, you know, how you had to start painting
Right.
again, or you were called to start painting.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
needed to shift. You know,
Yeah.
it needed a break, and you were listening to one, and it was just like no, and you're painting, and you had to shift over to nature of the stars. You
Right.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always related it to the 952. We talked about that a lot, having that energy, the fuel to be focused and concentrated, but I never related it to, you know, having that third tone in the Ajna center. And so it even, like you said, it's another layer on why, if something is not stimulating, I can't sit behind my computer. I can't listen to something else. I have to go do something else. And then I could be painting and then suddenly get up and go do the groceries or get a sandwich or something downstairs because we're living so close to it. And even though I was in the focus and concentration of my painting, I don't know. I just sometimes just get up and do something else.
Yeah, your ashna's like shift,
Yeah,
shift,
yeah.
shift.
Not interesting anymore, or not. For me, it's almost also with the painting, it is sometimes I just have the inspiration and then I flow and making use of that 952. But sometimes I get stuck. That's the first time I really experience stuckness within my paintings. Before I never had that, but because I'm trying out something new, like something out of my comfort zone, sometimes I'm trying to overthink what I want to paint in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know I just feel, let it go. Go sit back later and then feel the painting again. Listen to the colors. That's how I sense it. I hear the colors, a certain color call me, and I get that color, and then I go, look, where do I put this color? You know? So, yeah.
All of that's an action.
True. Yeah.
All of that is action.
And maybe the beauty is that it is the body and the mind working together, because we need to see it as a whole. So how lovely is it that my Ajna is working together with my 952 in my body, because that's on my design side.
I love that.
Yeah.
I was also thinking about how with the third tone, your mind is ready for adventure. And I was like, oh, there's her 35 in the South Node, you know. And I was thinking of the 35-5 in your, you know, South Node and your North Node, another layer. You know,
Right.
what are we doing? Moving from South Node to North Node.
Right.
More
Yeah.
action.
Yeah. And at 5 is the right action at the right time.
Right. The right adventure, the right
Right.
time.
The right adventure. Yeah. Yeah. It's so fascinating. That layering.
Yeah, and as I was listening to this one, it triggered something in me from one of mine, which was, I think it's I think it is, I just need to look at my screen real quick. I think it was it was either in the Antitheist or the Wanting tape. He talks about how, for me, I'll pick things up and then set them down. And what really triggered me, or what triggered in me, or what I remembered, was that it's about how modalities come to me. Like a modality comes to me, and I'll pick it up and I'll study it, and then I know when I've gotten what I need. It's just like it's a set it down. Is it still in my tool belt? Yeah, it's still in my tool belt. But then something else would come, and I would pick it up, and you know, and then set it down. And
Yeah. What would be interesting, I feel, is because we have our trajectory it's like opposite, right? Because I have theist
Mhm.
and you are anti-theist.
Yeah.
You have listened to yours. So I am curious, like when you listen to mine, how it, I don't know what the difference is or the mix is or the overlay is with what you heard about the anti-theist. Shall we do that?
Okay. Yeah, totally.
Now, with trajectory, you always have to remember that it's based on the color of your design, and this is further modified by the tonal infrastructure that you have. So a left tone is a different trajectory to a right tone. And with the personality crystal of consciousness, this crystal can never be locked to this or that. It's always jumping between the harmonic potentials of the information coming through color, and this is why we have this word transference, and it also affects this trajectory movement. This is why we have the word trajectory for the personality, because it represents a pointer for the correct development of your personality consciousness. But you won't see that on the design side, because the design crystal is locked through color. You can be locked to a not self-design, or if you follow your strategy, inner authority and determination, you can be locked to a true self-design. But there's no flipping between this and that, and it's this flipping that is always there with the personality, and this is why you have to notice these things. It's not bad to flip to that not self motivation. It's bad to not notice it. It's bad to make decisions for your life based on that transferred motivation. But pat yourself on the back if you catch yourself feeling but resisting the pressure of the transferred guilt to do something about this, to fix this. That will drive your mind to a mental decision. No, you're here to really be the hopeful one that knows what should be left alone. This thing doesn't need fixing. I will leave it alone. And you won't even necessarily use the words hope in that context, but it's just knowing this will be fine. Let it move in its own way without me interceding with this kind of transferred guilt motivation. So in terms of trajectory, correct trajectory for you, remember the caveat is that you are following your strategy and inner authority. Mind is no longer the boss of your life. Mind is no longer moving you. Well, then you have the opportunity to really get on your path of personality development. And it's a path that is designed to go from there to here, or here to there, depending which way around you prefer to express that. So when you see this word theist, well, that is the ultimate trajectory of where you are moving when you are correct. You're designed ultimately to have a very strong viewpoint about what you believe. A theist is a believer, and this can start clearly with religion, with God, but it's far more than that. It's about you having fundamental, unshakable beliefs in certain things that have been based upon, of course, your seeing, the view that is available on your variable talking chart. But you're not born as a theist. Even if you came straight out into the world as a newborn baby and you'd never been conditioned in this life to follow your mind, you would still start off on the opposite side of your trajectory, and you would gradually grow into your trajectory as your life progressed. So you having this left strategic mind and this theist trajectory as a result, Well, life would have started you off at birth on the opposite side of this trajectory, and that means that your primary trajectory at the beginning would have been to be an anti-theist. So as a young person, rejecting the beliefs of maybe the family, maybe religious beliefs, maybe rejecting beliefs about certain understandings about education. It's all about I don't believe, and I am not getting involved in that because I have no belief in that. I am an anti-theist. And gradually, as you follow your inner authority and your strategy, life would have started to unveil this trajectory, moving you from anti-theist to theist. So you can see this can lead from someone really rejecting certain beliefs, campaigning for certain things that they think are based on erroneous beliefs. Those theists know nothing. This kind of rebelliousness about the status quo that an anti-theist could have, well, it will turn on its head. From rejecting that civilization as an anti-theist, you will gradually embrace those beliefs, and those beliefs will become your own theism. Maybe you rejected certain religious or spiritual beliefs when you were young and actively worked against that. But on this movement towards becoming a theist, you could very well embrace those very things that were rejected earlier in life. The born-again Christian would be a good example. Or the belief in astrology that was not there on the anti-theist stage, or the belief in human design even, if that is within the timescape of your trajectory movement here. It's moving from a rejection of beliefs to an embrace of beliefs.
Okay, cool. So how does that resonate with you?
We've talked about this before. I love it when he said the this and the that and the flipping and the transferring, and that it's not about making yourself wrong. You just catch yourself, you know. I love that. Knowing what to be left alone, let it work out for itself. No need to fix out of guilt. I recognize that. For example, with my daughter, my mind can say that I'm harsh when, again, at 25, she's still asking for certain things which I feel she should have been taken care of for herself, like I did. Then my husband steps in and gives her money again and again and again. And I say, she's not learning from that if you're just gonna give her money each time. But he finds that his motivation is guilt. So that is funny, you know, I'm hope and he's guilt. And then him doing that. And I can stay very strict in that. In also, if we're talking about beliefs, in my belief that she's not learning if I give her money. But when I was with her alone as a single mother, I would do loads of stuff. I would give her everything out of the guilt that I had to work to provide for both of us, but that way wasn't able to give her the attention that she needed. So I did a lot of that out of guilt. And at some point I saw that she wasn't even appreciating it, and that she was taking it for granted that I, worked so hard to give her everything that she needed. Later, when we talked about our history, she said that I know that you gave me everything, but I didn't see that back then, and so she forgave me, like, for, doing the best that I had to my ability to do, and at some point I could release the guilt of divorcing her father, and then even feeling guilty that her father left her, like we spoke on, a few weeks back. And when I started releasing the guilt, the hope, or at least the things, let it work out for itself, no need to fix out of guilt, that started to come in, because I don't feel guilty anymore for providing certain stuff. I feel like she has to take her own responsibility for her life. She's 25 now. She has her own home. She has a good job. So she should be able to provide in every need. If she was just, she needs to become wise about spending her money. I can see the shadows of, if you're not feeling well, just buying stuff online that you just happy for 1 second when it comes in and just put it away in your closet. I did that too, so I recognize it and I just leave it alone. It's her process. I watch it, I observe it, but I don't fix it. So, and if we're talking about like when you were young, rejecting beliefs from family, religion, education, saying I don't believe in that, to now having an unshakable belief, and a strong feeling on what I believe. Yeah, when I was younger, I didn't know what to believe. I heard this, I heard that, I read this, I saw that. I read the astrology in the papers, and then my father said, well, everything in there, that's just rubbish. Astrology is rubbish and such. Religion was rubbish. I can't even think about things. I just know that there wasn't any belief. So it wasn't even just for me personally. My father was a manifester, with all his throat gates defined, also having the channel of the alpha. So he was a very dominant male man, my father, the man I looked up to. So I believed him, so to speak. So I just followed everything he didn't believe in.
Wow.
Yeah. And now
that was fixed, like.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then, I felt this urge when I even ended my first marriage. I was just 25. But I felt the urge to, maybe again, that Arshna theme, that going on adventure, I wanted to find out. I knew there was something more. And yeah, it took a lot of time until my 42, 43.
In that, you were anti-theist because you didn't believe that you had to stay. You didn't buy into, societal,
yeah, true,
or religious.
I didn't believe in the marriage.
Yeah.
I was raised to this homogenized way of thinking, like you get a boyfriend at a certain age and then you go live together, and then when you live together you have to get married before you're gonna have children, because you can't have children when you're not married. I was so conditioned in that, and then I had it all and I was so unhappy. And that's where I said to myself, and even said to him, like, I'm not happy. You are not gonna make me happy, but I'm not gonna make you happy either. So to do us both kind of a favor, I feel like we're going to have to divorce, because then you get a chance in life, new love, and I get a chance, a new life and love. Like, I didn't know what love was. It was a conditioned thing. I thought what love was. But when I was married and had a baby, I felt, where is the love? Because I wasn't feeling it. And even my father then saying, like, but he makes good money. He takes care of you and the baby. And I was like, yeah, but that's for me. That's not what life is all about. Everything in my life has been about love. And then I married the vessel of love at 40. But, that's so cosmically funny. But yeah, my search was, what are all these questions about life, love? I always found human beings very interesting. Then at some point, because I was depressed, I went to church. I saw it in different books about different religions and different traditions, and even in like not black magic, but I always loved like the mystical stuff, and but there wasn't too much room to really explore it until my burnout. And I feel like there was this transition to my true self in that way, like really going to the theist.
So you feel you experience your strong viewpoints, your
Yeah,
strong beliefs, your
absolutely.
fundamental, unshakable beliefs now.
I believe so much in human design. It's like I'm almost preaching. Like I said, where we were last Saturday, we get to the table. We were just 5 minutes in, and there were these young people of 22, and one of them was 30. It was the oldest, you know, and I'm 49 almost. And she asked me what I did, and I, you know, started saying that, you know, a consciousness guide is sort of what I call myself. In Dutch, it's different, but so, and I work with human design. I said, did you hear of it? She said, yeah, I have my chart over here. And then I don't know what happened, but I said, even Hans with his open throat couldn't come in. Normally he just takes over my power. And I was like, no. And it came out also naturally. So now hearing this, I feel like I'm always almost a preacher into how important human design is, because she had this beautiful vision. She's a 3/5, and she had this beautiful vision that she wanted to educate parents about their children. And that so resonates with human design, right? So she started sharing how she does it and what her vision is, and like a really intelligent lady. And I was like, well, let me tell you, you can find this, this, and this, and this in the human design. And if you have that, it will take you less time to analyze somebody, and you can see the patterns, and you can see this and that. So I'm unshakable in my belief.
I think that's so cool. I mean, so clear in your life. I mean, it's clear in my life too, because I was born a theist on the trajectory to anti-theist, and I was born, you know, and raised Catholic in the South, and you know, very fundamental, unshakable belief in especially religion, you know, and well, how to be, you know.
Right. Conditioned how
And
to
now,
follow those rules, so to speak.
yeah, now I'm like, no, no, you know, I think what I see in myself is that when someone is locked into something as the only way, like this is the only religion or this is the only way forward, I'm just kind of like, no. You know, and I, you know, I think I used to just like stand and poke holes, but now it's just I just walk away because I'm like, whatever.
Right.
They clearly are in alignment with their, you know, now that I understand that there's some people who, you know, it makes sense that you see people who are in a sense born again Christians. You know, maybe they started out as anti-theists, and then
Right.
they find their fundamental beliefs, fundamental unshakable beliefs. Maybe they find that in religion, maybe they find it in something else, you know, consciousness, or you know, whatever they find it in. Just knowing human design, and that those are trajectories that we all, you know, experience. I think it's hard for people in my life who are still so maybe they're not theist to anti-theist, maybe their, you know, trajectory is something else, but let's just say that they're very committed to a religion or belief system that I was in my younger life. I noticed that it's hard for them that I have just let it all go,
Right.
that I'm not still conditioned by all of that, and I don't spend any energy on making anybody else wrong.
Right.
You know, they can have their in unshakable belief that that's the way,
Yeah.
and I can just walk away. Like, I don't have any need or desire to convince somebody that, because I know they're just living their design. And if that's what brings them joy, go for it. I don't have to make them wrong to be okay with me,
No, absolutely. I even think that if people are open to it, because I do feel something there also, me having an open mind and open head and Ashna, is that of course I have an unshakable belief in this system because I've seen it proven,
Yeah.
but I'm also very aware of the shamanism and different cultures and the way they live, and like I said, the different religions. I don't know them in depth, but I know like in great lines what it means to them, but I just feel it's not for me.
Yeah, what I hear you saying is your tool, and
Right,
why it works,
right,
and why you believe in it,
right.
and that's why you're committed to it.
Yeah,
And for me, like, I believe in it. I mean, I see people, I've been working with people, and I'll start to see their body graph just in my screen,
right.
there's
Yeah,
something right here they need to, or I can look at somebody's body graph and see, it's almost like this and this is lighting up, or I'm looking at their
right,
gene key profile, and there's things lighting up, and I'll just like ask a question because I don't know why it's lighting up, so it just is an invitation
right.
for a question for me. And then there are other clients I have that I work with, or other people in my life that I would never really use human design language, or I'd
No,
use something else to express myself,
right,
because they don't have the background, or or I might say, you're really interested in this, and because you're interested in that, might I suggest you
right.
consider,
Yeah,
let's look at your basic human design. And I feel like that might really help you,
right.
and then just give them the choice to say yes or no. But I feel like, for me, um,
Yeah, I get it. Could it be that it is related to, I mean, like, for me, human design is a tool I hold on to because in some way it gives me security. Religion also gives a security that they hold on to. So if we put it in that way, like theist, like a believer, it gives you some kind of security, some kind of something to hold on to, even maybe to have hope with.
yeah.
So
Or because you feel guilty, or because,
yeah,
maybe it's aligned with your motivation. I find it all so fascinating,
yeah,
right? That
I feel it's related to my hope because with the system, I see hope. I see hope for humanity. I see hope for people like waking up to their true selves, because there's so many people talking about, do you know who your true self is? Do you really know yourself? And I go like, how are you going to show the people who they
right,
truly are? You're just projecting onto them who you think that they are, and you're going to convince them that they are this or that homogenized stuff. Like, you should, if you want something, visualize it and it will appear, it will manifest. That doesn't work for everybody. Maybe when you're a manifestor and you just go for your goal, but so yeah, for me, there is hope in this system that when really people dive into their own charts and do their experiment and become aware of so many things, it's like, yeah,
and I know that there are people who would listen to us and go, "What do you mean I can't? What do you mean I can't manifest this?" Like,
right,
whatever you want, go for
right.
it.
Because everybody has their own truth. Those people
Right,
that speak on that, they believe that their truth is the truth. And that's what I also love about my 63s. You know, um, there's truth in everything. That's why you inquire, and then what stays behind is my truth for me.
right, right.
Or as outer authority, I can sense your truth.
And if they're on the same base, right?
Right.
And they're on their same fractal line, that's gonna really resonate.
Yeah.
And for people who are not on that fractal, they're gonna go, no, not so much. Don't think that.
Yeah.
And then that's what I found so empowering about human design is, you know, if we're a house and we're this kind of house, it just is. It's like the house is not wrong. We're a tree. We're, you know, a certain kind of tree. We're not wrong because we're that tree. It's just how, you know, I'm a tree that's deciduous. Okay, I'm going to lose my leaves every year. It doesn't make me wrong because I lose my leaves. I'm just living my natural makeup. And if I'm a tree that's evergreen, I'm not wrong because, you know, and I'm going to be great in some places and not great in other places.
Yeah. I love the beauty of the differentiation. Like we're so uniquely, like now we are going into these other layers that defines like even more who I am. Like you can have the same person with even, you know, the same line and maybe even the same placements, but on the color tone and base level, they can be so different. So the expression of the total is going to be off. So for me, even with twins, I had this question for so long, and people would ask me like, what if there's a twin? I said, well, yeah, they might have a same this or same that, but because they maybe go on a different school, make different friends, there were differences. But it's even in the color tone and base because it changes every 7 minutes.
I have a friend who's married to a man. They were born in the same town on the same day in the same hospital.
Oh, wow.
And they have one, in the gene key chart, they have one gate that's different. But, you know, like they're not within 7 minutes of each other.
That's why it's so different.
And even just that little difference
makes a whole difference. Yeah.
Makes a whole bit, you know, it's a big difference. And it's incredible, you know.
It's like even what I saw when you said that, it's a big difference. I saw this baked cake with all this glaze on it. You have 2 of them, but one of them doesn't have in the base of the cake sugar. A huge difference.
Completely different. Huge difference.
Right. It's the whole flavor of the whole that changes. Right.
Well, I'm really, I go through this. We've talked about this. I said that about my journey. Sometimes I'm like completely zoned in and I have all this energy to, and then there are other times I don't have that energy. You'll send me something and I'll watch it or I won't watch it, and I don't even know, like I've given up knowing why it is. I'm like, I can't do anything but watch that video. And there's another one that it'll come in and I'll be like, oh yeah, I want to watch that, but I can't in that moment. And then I forget that I even have it. And then I'll be like, you know, 3 days later, 3 weeks later, 3 months later, Chris sent me this thing. I think, you know, there's some divine timing to it. Yeah. But, you know, it's so fascinating to me that how you sent the interview with Randy, with Richard Beaumont, and how that just lit a fire under me, because suddenly I was like, I listened to that. I have to go back to Genetic Matrix, watch the talking body graph. So if you have been, for anybody who's gotten this far with Corinda, what we've been looking at is the Genetic Matrix talking body graph. He's done an amazing job. You can get that at geneticmatrix.com. But, you know, I've listened to a lot of those. I just hadn't completed, had a big, you know, like focus and then a breath. And then suddenly hearing Randy talk about being a projector. And I was like, I think think there was something about that in Genetic Matrix talking Bodygraph. Then I'm like there, and then I'm like listening,
Right.
listening. I couldn't walk away yesterday afternoon. But then even processing it when I was messaging you about the moments, like so much was coming together. Oh, this is why I wanted to study bass.
Right.
And
Yeah,
this is
I felt that.
probably
Yeah.
why I could only get to my base and not further than that. You know, I hadn't had the energy to go further. I'm a base 2 in my Sun
Yeah.
Earth,
Yeah, same as me.
personality Sun Earth. So, and I'm a base 1 in my design Sun
Me
Earth.
too.
So
Yeah.
I got 1 and 2, and I hadn't had the energy to go forward. But, you know, us having a conversation about now tone and color and understanding how all those little, you know, things, all those aspects differentiate us.
Yeah.
And for me, almost, Corinda, you know, I have this, so the light is coming through, the light is coming through, and the very first thing it enters is base.
Yeah.
That decides everything. And then from the base, then color, and then tone, then line, then gate.
Right.
I mean, by the time we get to the gate,
The expression, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. We're on the 5th level of light coming through our crystal. I mean, think about that. So many of us come to human design or gene keys or the I Ching or astrology, and we're at that gate.
Right.
That's limited. 5 layers in.
We are a complete unique rainbow, each one of us, because of that color tone based line gate.
And I understand it's easier to come to all this study from the gate, from the key, the gate, the hex. But to me, it's a little backwards because, I mean, that's already through the rainbow.
Right.
So like now I have the energy in me of like when I got the download that I was going to find an office where I could facilitate groups, and it all just happened. And then I had the energy to paint it and, you know, build things and out energize my male helper, you know, like,
How bizarre,
now I feel super energized.
Yeah.
And even because of all the parts of it that relate to the death and dying process, I was like, oh, well, that's why we had to study the moon for a while. And, you know, that's still in me, you know, still thinking about where's the moon. And, you know, I don't have to be that intense on it, but it's still a part of me. But now I'm getting why we studied the moon. And today is a big moon day because we
opened the Lion's Gate. Yeah.
Today we open the Lion's Gate, so it
7
is
days. Yeah. And I believe
3.2.
Yeah, I listened to I forgot his name. His name is Judge. Let me see. Steve Judd. I love him. It's an older guy. He's done 40 years of astrology. He's like, he dares to speak his truth. And he said that in the next couple of weeks, all planets are going to go retrograde. And that has like never happened before. And so it's all about, you know, introspection, looking back at stuff, and maybe think about new things, but not taking initiatives.
What day does that start?
Oh, I will send you the video.
Okay.
And
if you get it, maybe tack it on to our, if you put this online, because if people are listening, they might go, oh, what is that?
Yeah, I will. And another video was very interesting from him before we go, because it's already 10 past 10. Oh my God. So I have to go. But
it's 1:11 here, so 1:11
and for me 20 to 12. he spoke about on the future. He talked about crop circles, but he also talked about a new human being. And the things that he said in different wordings, but I was hearing the message from Ra, and he was seeing it now in astrology. And I was like the astrology is catching up on this prophecy, so to speak. So
Very, very cool. Well, send me
very,
that. I'd like to
I
see
will.
him. I haven't experienced him.
Yeah.
I
So
love you, sister friend.
I
It was
love you
meant to
too,
be
sister friend.
today.
Yes. Have a
I
beautiful
kind
day.
of feel like we're getting to our mission, like
Yeah. It's, yeah, like, and we have time and we're doing so much investigation, and it's all because there's another part in there in my chart that says it's all about being prepared for what's coming, and you're not knowing when it's going to come. And I feel that it's going to come. So I feel like all this time for 2027, we are preparing. And what you said about your fifth tone, I don't know what's coming, but it's going to be beautiful.
I'm super excited for the journey, and I'm so motivated. And now I feel like today was a key code that we got some insight about what it is we're to bring in together.
Exactly.
And I don't know, I feel like my tone is going to somehow lift you up. Like it's almost like my tone is going to go.
Yeah, it's not for nothing that you are living in America. We did find each other. You're a few years older than me. I feel like you're my older sister. You were born before me, so you have a little bit more experience. You have a little bit more this and that. Your rightness, me left. It's like all this is like, yeah. I feel like you're more important to me than I am to you, so to speak, in a way that I don't know. Yeah.
Co-creation.
Yeah. True.
Co-creation.
Yeah.
All right, I love you. Tell Hans
Love
I
you
said
too.
hey, and
Give my love to Trey.